Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. This is Buckeye legend Mike Tomczak, and you're listening to OVE Podcast. It's Ohio versus everyone. Subscribe, like, listen, and follow, and don't forget your comments. Here's the show, and remember to always wash your BALLS.
Wash your nutsack, boys and girls. Back on a Monday, it is the OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. Going to go 3 days this week. I told you guys, like, people complaining about it is, one, we're not getting paid. And two, we got jobs. And three, we'll give you as much as we can do. So this week, we're giving you three. So Ohio versus everyone. I am the Torg from QFM 96 Mornings. He is Sam Grooms. Remember, subscribe, like, follow, share. If you're watching on YouTube, see that little thumbs up. Click it right now. Let's get the algorithms going on this Monday. Little breaking news today, broke a couple hours ago, right around noonish or 11:30. Five-star safety Blaine Bradford from LSU. Well, he plays in LSU, Louisiana. Pick the Buckeyes over Louisiana and Texas. There you go, Sam, if you buy into that stuff.
I mean, I don't know that it's ever bad to get a five-star in the number one overall rated player at a specific position. So the number one overall rated safety probably going to come in on the tail end of Caleb Downs and fill that void, but also the number 23 national player as well. So never a bad thing to be picking up 5 stars.
Yeah, and I don't know how they do this if, they're watching highlight films or, going into what is it? What's the program they're using there? Is it Hike or something like that, or whatever the kids use? You're going in there and you're watching some games, right? Huddle. You're going in the Huddle program and you're not Matt Weiss and you're entering it legally. And you're watching video and not watching naked women and downloading them and they're rating them, or watching Buckeye practice. So I don't know how this goes. I mean, the whole key to this is, one, you have a staff now that'll go out and recruit, and you didn't have that before. And there was nothing against the guys who were here before. They were just limited on what they wanted to do and what they did from a recruiting standpoint. Now you got guys that are going out. I saw a big offensive lineman that they landed over the weekend, the safety. Everybody is full on in the recruiting mode on this staff. And the more guys you can get out on the recruiting trail, I know a lot of people say it comes to NL money, and maybe that's the truth. But you have to, Sam, go out on these schools, watch these kids play, and at least introduce yourself to get the ball rolling until you get the how much can you pay me. And Ohio State said all along, Sam, if you're going to treat this university as a, hey, I'm going to put my kid to the best available bidder, well, we're not the school for you. So you still need to go out, even though people think, oh, you can, do what they did with Underwood in Michigan and have like a Zoom call and get your guys. Well, Underwood's getting paid 13, 15 million. That, didn't want to do the visits, just wanted to show me the money. You still have to recruit, go out and see these guys.
Well, to your first point, and I'm just bringing this up because this is one of the criticisms of this particular position group, and Justin Fry prior to him leaving, was he didn't go out and bring a bunch of guys in. Although you could say, probably as an aside, he probably did the best job of any position coach on the staff last year with what he was able to kind of piecemeal together as far as an offensive line. But one of the major criticisms was he never went out and actually threw a wide enough net. He never went out and recruited enough offensive linemen. So when you come up a little bit short, when you get some injuries and you don't have a whole lot of guys to go to, that's one of the things that people love to criticize Justin Fry would point to. And you know what? At the time, it did look, I do remember being a little bit concerned by that. But I'm looking at the 2026 class, and you've already got 3 different offensive linemen committed, 2 4-stars out of Ohio, which is always a big deal, and another 3-star out of Phoenix. So, it seems like the turnover that we've seen on the coaching staff has kind of revitalized or maybe created a little bit of competition between position groups that didn't used to get out there and really throw that wide net. Now they're all seeing what, the DB coach Guerreri's doing. They're seeing what Hartline continues to do with the skill positions of wide receiver, maybe lighting a little fire under the ass of these guys to get out there and start doing the same thing.
Yeah, and two, let's not forget about Chris Henry. It looks like, even though he's taking visits, we're going to land Chris Henry. It's going to be hard for a guy who is committed here since like the 9th grade to tuck his tail and go somewhere else, right? And I mean, so another Brian Hartline, number 1 overall wide receiver recruit, pedigree from his dad was a pretty good receiver before he passed away, adopted kid of Pac-Man Jones. So there's a lot of athleticism with him. So, yeah, the Buckeye recruiting class is soaring, man. They got a lot of guys in the top 300. Again, I'll say this. You could be top 300 here or 5-star here or 4-star there. It's about guys gelling as a team, getting coached up, and most importantly, I think we're seeing it in the NCAA basketball tournament, is keeping the guys once they arrive. Keeping the guys.
Again, I don't want to keep harping on offensive line, but I think one of the things that I really think you utilize the transfer portal for is to shore up those offensive linemen, have enough guys in the room, allow another program that maybe took a shot. So obviously, Josh Simmons came from San Diego State, not exactly a college football powerhouse. We just got 2 guys, I think, coming in this year, one from Rice, one from Minnesota. Both guys, apparently, from what I'm hearing, are supposed to be showing some pretty nice signs of development. So I think if you could pair up getting 4- and 5-star guys, and maybe not even the 5-star guys, get the 3- or 4-star guys, keep the local guys in the state of Ohio in the program, get them in here and develop, and then kind of go out on the offensive line, pick and choose guys that maybe weren't the most highly sought after prospects that have been developed and actually grown into a bigger role with what we would consider inferior or smaller programs. Go out and get those guys to kind of piecemeal everything together. And I think that's how, in this regard, that the transfer portal is really kind of shored up college football. And that's what seems like Ohio State, or what Ohio State is seemingly really trying to do with that position group.
Yeah, everybody develops differently. You're going to get guys who develop into their bodies when they turn 19, 20 years old, that become men, that just develop slower than other people. You know, I mentioned basketball, Sam, and we're going to get to Connor Stalions being a complete psychopath in a little bit here. You know what's sad about college basketball? And I actually called, not that I'm an expert, but I knew it was going to be chalk. College basketball, much like college football, is going to be the top tier teams. Right? I mean, it's going to be a top tier teams. It's going to be the same 8 people in college football. It's going to be the same 8 people in college basketball. I saw something sad over the weekend where Kansas had a 5-star center, and Kansas was crap this year, lost in the first round, but they were looking forward to this kid forever coming to the school. And then he announced, "Oh, I'm transferring. I'm going to get paid somewhere else." The model now, and then that's why I mentioned it with these 5-star guys. Well, it doesn't mean anything if you can't keep them. You know, they want instant gratification right now. I don't know if any of these guys are going to be satisfied with being a red shirt, right? That's the sad thing. If guys want to play and they want to play right now and they want to get paid, this kid from Kansas is already transferring. You look at the NCAA tournament, all these guys are from different schools. Like, are there any guys that go to school outside of UConn a few years ago when they were winning that are there at the same school for 3 years? I mean, we were going to mention it earlier. I'll mention it now. John Mobley announced he's saying, well, that's a big deal because no one stays anymore. Oh, Mobley was a freshman here. He's going to stay to a sophomore year. Bet he doesn't stay till his junior year. Maybe he does. But I know the Jay Billises and the get off my lawn guys are going to say, well, coaches do it to schools too. Well, guess what? There's a rule where if the coach leaves, the players get 30 days to transfer. So what is your effing problem, Jay Billis, right? The problem in general is these kids are moving. It's destroying the product. You can be happy you got a top recruit listing, Sam, but you don't know if these guys are going to stay. That's the whole thing is Ohio State's got to not only get them, but they got to keep them. And it's hard to keep them when you have families representing players and your uncle and guys taking representation where it's not legal, and it's the wild, wild west of agents where schools are constantly calling uncles and dads and moms offering deals in the temptation in guys' heads. And you could start here and get paid more at LSU. Sometimes it works out for the guys, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just a screwed up system. So yeah, I'm glad we got this 5-star kid from Louisiana, but all right, now we get them. Now we got to coach them up and develop them. And then, oh, yeah, the other crappy part of it is we got to keep them. And there's a lot of schools now who won't even do spring games because they're afraid that teams are going to keep poach their players.
So what I would say is this is Ohio State, the football program seems to attract a specific style of player. And if you really look at it, and I feel like I should knock on wood for this, Ohio State the football programs does not seem to really lose the players to the transfer portal or to any, going to other programs for more money that they want to keep.
But it's going to happen though at some point, Sam.
You're right, it is. But you're going to have an offlier here or there, or an outlier here or there, and like you said, it's going to happen. But look at all these other schools, these other big programs where it's already happened multiple times, and by and large, Ohio State has gone unscathed. So I think that boils down to not only the preaching tradition, preaching the program, preaching look at what we're putting in the NFL. But I think it also has probably the most to do with the fact that we're recruiting a specific style or type of player. Yes, you're not going to play here unless you're a talented player, but we want you to have a good base as well. We want you to have, a supportive family. We want you to come here for the right reasons. And if you are coming here specifically, first and foremost, for money, you're not coming here. We don't want that. So I think Ohio State has really done a great job in this regard. As a program, from insulating itself from the guys that want to leverage the program, the guys that want to come here specifically and solely for money. Now, don't get me wrong, NIL has a lot to do with that. Some of the bigger donors, some of the bigger corporations here located in Central Ohio have a lot to do with that too. But it all starts with the fact that the program seems to recruit a very specific type of player that is not only talented, but is coming here for different reasons other than money.
Yeah. Let's go on to Connor Stalions, because do you follow politics at all, Sam? Okay, so here's how it works in politics, folks, is if I am a Republican and I criticize a Democrat or vice versa, it doesn't matter. The first thing is not taking ownership of the issue. It's pointing fingers. Well, Donald Trump did this. Or on the reverse side, someone from the Liberal Party saying something to Donald Trump, and they would say, well, Joe Biden did this, if he could remember. It's deflection. It's pointed fingers, and it's not looking in the mirror and looking at facts. It's always, yeah, but the other guy. Yeah, but the other guy. And that leads me to the complete psychopath of Connor Stalions. If you don't think he's a psychopath, you're a dim-witted idiot Michigan fan. And I'm really starting to think all of them are dimwits, like really low IQ. Before I was just trolling. Now I really believe there's a low-level stupidity with these Michigan fans. Not all of them. John Jansen, you're my guy. You're the only one with truth in that whole media fan base of cowards. They're all cowards. But Connor Stalions did an interview with On3, Sam. And what did he do? Place the blame on Ohio State, saying Ohio State was the one stealing signs. And Ohio State lost to us because they couldn't steal the signs. Because when I came in, I made sure Ohio State couldn't steal the signs. And the only reason we were successful is Ohio State didn't change their signs, and I cracked the code.
So your point earlier about politicians basically transferring blame or deflecting, they also do one other thing where they essentially create, it's called a straw man argument, where you essentially create your own premise and attack the premise, right? And they accuse their opponent of doing so. So two things here. You're absolutely right. Sociopaths absolutely say, well, I did it because somebody else was doing it and that's acceptable. Somehow in their mind deems whatever illegality they participated in as acceptable. So there's that part of it too, or there's that part first and foremost. Secondly, he's creating this straw man to where he's saying Ohio State had our signals in 2018, 2019 on defense. That's not illegal. What's illegal and what this guy is being accused of is not having Ohio State signals. It's the length and the illegal measures he took to obtain said signals. And not just Connor Stalions, we're finding out. It almost looks like the entire program and potentially athletic department and university was in on this as well. It's not the fact that Ohio State had signals. 100% completely legal. What he is being tried for, I guess, in the court of public opinion, and the NCAA is coming after him, is the extent to which he obtained those signals,
offsite signaling.
Yes. So again, let's not acknowledge the premise that he's trying to set here, the straw man that he's trying to beat to death. It's not the fact that any of the opposition had their signals. That's why you use signals. That's why you have dummy guys on the sideline. That's why the idiots in the SEC hold the big flags and banners up behind the coach so you can't see. Like, that's not illegal. It's everything else he did off the field to obtain the signs that he is being accused of doing that no other program is being accused of is the issue at hand.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Now, but what this tells me another thing though, Sam. And there's a Buckeye Scoop tweeted there's a rumor that Connor Stalions is going to be on Joe Rogan. I have not seen that. I don't know if that's true. They just retweeted a guy, JJ McCarthy fan or whatever, and he's reporting it, right? But what you're seeing here is with the Netflix special, and it was a one-sided special. It was told from Connor Stalions' view. Did you see the Netflix special or the doc? That was told, folks, by the Connor Stallion view, that he's a beautiful mind, that he's just smarter than everyone, that he cracked the code. This interview over the weekend on 3, this Michigan fan base, the dimwits, have created a one-sided. They've created their own one-sided narrative here, because the side of truth is the NCAA, right? Is because the governing body has the truth, and no one else is allowed to combat that, because they are the ones who are going to dish out the punishment. They're the ones that got the sanction. They're the ones who compile all the information, and they don't play the media campaign. Then they go to Michigan. What Michigan is doing is they're trying to poo-poo the NCAA findings by this one-sided narrative blitz. They know they're screwed, but as long as Rain Man Connor Stalions does a Netflix documentary, does a On 3, they've created a narrative where they say OSU hacked our servers. Now, we know it was Matt Weiss, right? And we know now, like I told you a year ago, that Matt Weiss, it looks like it's coming out now. More and more people are talking about how he did watch Ohio State practice film. I told you. I wouldn't make stuff up like that. I don't troll. I only troll like candidate people on TikTok about being our 51st state. And I only troll Dave Portnoy and Michigan fans for being cheaters. That's what I troll in. I don't troll anything else. If I trolled anything else, I would tell you honestly about it. They created a narrative made up by Zach Smith and Menace to Sports that Ryan Day's brother from the FBI is investigating Michigan. They have created this narrative that Connor Stalions is this genius, beautiful mind type psychopath where he cracked the code. Are you telling me that no one in the country can do what this Rain Man did, but he wants you to believe that. He wants you to believe, Connor Stalions, in all these interviews, that he's the smartest guy ever and only he could do it. That everybody, like, he spent hours, and I listen, I don't take away the fact that he probably did spend hours and hours and hours. And I'm sure he did crack some type of code. And I'm sure by just pure analytics, by running the numbers like a guess curveball, fastball, curveball, right? If you're guessing pitches and this guy throws his fastball 70% of the time and he hits it, it's baseball analytics, right? So he runs down the play calls and he probably does have a system that's really, really good. But to say that you cornered the market without off-site scouting, that's not true, because your whole thing was you got the signals from having people go in stands and record the signals from the other team. It's not just, you want us to believe that you were just on the sidelines and watching tape and got the signals. You don't want to admit the other part. And Sam, no one has asked Connor Stalions yet about the other part. Why doesn't anyone in the media, you soft-ass cowards on 3, you soft-ass cowards Netflix, Joe Rogan, if Joe Rogan has them, Sam, it's going to be another thing where Joe's not going to know. So another feather in the Connor Stalions camp, right? How come no one asked him about what the only thing they said about it is it's not illegal to buy Friends tickets.
Well, I'm glad you're going there. And because I think my point would be is this guy's done nothing. Every interview he's done, he's had nobody push back. And if he does go on Rogan, which I'm curious to see if he does, because this very much strikes me as something that Joe Rogan could not care less about. Like it is probably the last thing on his mind. He's not going to push back because it's not something that's interesting. It's not MMA. It's not bow hunting elk. It's not aliens. Like he's got no interest in any of this. So I'm glad you went there. That's kind of where I would say is like he's doing all these interviews that are going to show him in the best light. He's doing these interviews where nobody pushes back. Like nobody asks the questions or digs deep. The analogy I want to make is, are we, and I guess here's the point I want to make. Are we giving this guy too much credit of being some kind of idiot savant? Because the way I see it is if you sit down with a bunch of guys at a poker table and you know what their hole cards are, you know what they're holding, are you really a good poker player if you make the right decisions and play the right odds? I just don't think. I think we're giving this guy way too much credit where he's just a hack. He had an advantage over everybody else, whether or not he spent hours and hours breaking down the signals and the video and putting an Excel sheet together. Congratulations, buddy. You know how to work Microsoft Excel and put it in a binder. We got you, buddy. There's a lot of people around this world making more money than you doing so. Like, I just think we're giving this guy way too much credit on his intelligence. Like, he's obviously a sociopath. Like,
yeah.
The tendencies, like you said, the mannerisms, the deflection, his infatuation with. I saw some other article in the interview. He said he's convinced he's going to be the Michigan. That is his goal, is to be Michigan football's head coach in the future. This guy's crazy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, if you know college majors, who takes stats in college. Statisticians in college, analytics in college. But usually they go into the stock market, right? Or they help run companies or whatever. There's mathematics. There's different things. So he's not breaking the code here. Do I think he worked hard? Yes. Do I think he is a psychopath when it comes to watching film? Yes. Do I think he throws out a lot of BS numbers, which he believes true in his mind? Yes. And the thing is, Sam, did you see the article where he goes, OSU runs right side dog 34 times and the cat 64 times, and then they run upper slot middle left 82 times, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, unless you're a coach or know the inner workings of systems, you could say as much as you want of OSU runs dog right 32 times, and you believe it because you don't know the terminology, right? So
every team has tendencies.
Yeah.
That's why you watch film. You prepare for those things. So you can know a team likes to run. We used to run when I played ISO. We would run 34 and 33 ISO all the time. Ran at the first play every game. You don't think that the opposition prepared for that? It's not the fact that you know a team has tendencies. It's the fact that because you know exactly what is being run when, that you position your defense or you position your offense perfectly each time. That's the issue.
Yeah, and he studied it. He studied it, Sam, and they're all in the notes. Every kid, if you're on the staff, knows this stuff, right? Knows the tendencies of the team. So it's not like he's saying breaking news here, right? Especially when you're getting your ass kicked to your rival 7 straight times, right? Urban was 7-0 against Harbaugh. So, I mean, you were getting your ass kicked. But to come off, and you're right about the Rogan thing. Rogan's not going to push back. But why are they doing this? Why is there a Netflix special? Why is he doing On3? Why is he? And we don't know if the Rogan. Don't say you listened to the OVE podcast and heard Connor Stalions is doing Rogan. We're not saying that. We're just saying someone tweeted it out. Buckeye Scoop retweeted it and just said, "Is this true?" I haven't found it anywhere. I don't think it's true. But he's doing interviews where they're not pushing back because the Michigan media are cowards, and the people who are interviewing him are cowards where they don't want to push back. And we're getting, like I mentioned before, one side. The NCAA is going to come out with their side, and I'm guessing this, Sam, it's not going to be good if the main guy behind everything is doing interviews trying to prove, well, OSU was the ones who did it. We didn't do anything. I cracked the code. I'm the ones who there was no in-person. I just knew everything. Well, if that was the case, Connor, okay, Sam, follow along with me here and everybody watching or listening. If it was true that Connor Stalions then did crack the code, right? And it was OSU stealing signs and not Michigan, then Connor, why not talk to the NCAA? It's as simple as that. You don't want to talk to the NCAA because they have proof, they have your spreadsheets, and they have receipts, okay? And they have people who have talked about it. You are lying out your ass, hoping the dimwits in your fan base believe you. If everything you say is true in the On3 interview or in Netflix, then talk to Sam, right? If he's in, why not talk to the NCAA then and clear the Michigan program?
Did Connors have his attorney present on the On3 interview like he did for the Netflix? Are you aware? Did they mention the attorney in the room like the Netflix interview? I mean, did Ohio State or any other Big Ten team have staff on the opposition sidelines during the season for an opponent they were going to play in the future wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? No? Okay.
Yeah.
What a dope. Like, again, you know what? The NCAA is going to, when they do provide the evidence they have, there are going to be specials made in the future on the other side of the fence that are going to be far more damning than this guy answering softball cupcake questions.
Yeah.
So patience, just wait it out. It's coming. I think part of the reason too that the NCAA has taken so long with all of this and they're being as deliberate as they are is to make sure that this is about as Loctite, airtight as it can be. So Michigan has absolutely no recourse, both in an actual court, but in the court of public opinion, that they're going to have any kind of recourse against it. So if they do have the goods, which I think they do, I'm all for it. I mean, I know it's coming. And the longer this goes, to me, the longer this goes at this point where we are, the worse it is for Michigan.
Yeah, I think they're doing this because of damage control. I think you're spot on there. I think they're going to look at it and say, no, we didn't do any of this. Connor's doing interviews. This is a witch hunt. They're coming after us. You're making a big deal about nothing. This is absolutely ridiculous. But if it is, then have your star witness talk. If you're Ward Manuel, reach out to Connor Stalions then and say, Connor, talk to the NCAA. But you haven't been cooperative. So I don't know how Michigan could tell us they're not guilty in these things when everybody refuses to talk. And then you have Sharon Moore deleting text messages. So why were the text messages delete? Are you really going to tell me, oh, I was angry at him, so I deleted the emails? That's a lame-ass excuse. That's like if you're cheating on your spouse and you go, hey, where are those text messages from the guy you're sleeping with or your mistress or whatever it is? Oh, I deleted them because I was angry. That just doesn't cut it. Or like you're embezzling money and you're ripping someone off. Hey, why did you delete those text messages to that guy who robbed that house? Oh, I was upset with him because I found out he robbed the house. It doesn't fly. So if you're innocent, Michigan, why is everyone not talking? Which makes it harder, Sam, to defend yourself if you're Ward Manuel, an idiot Santa Ono or whatever, Santa Ana, whatever the hell he is, the bet guy, the moron. It just makes it harder for the school to defend themselves because they don't know any different, because no one's talking to them. So in their minds, Ward Manuel probably believes, or he probably in the back of his mind believes they did it, right? But all he has to go with is, well, no one told me anything, so I'm just a big let me eat my cheeseburger and deny everything. Just no one's talking, but the proof is there. And I would think if you're innocent, you would talk.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, you just nailed it right there. There's so much circumstantial evidence to support your theory right there that I think it's absolutely airtight, locked shut. They've got no choice. It's the castle's coming down, baby. Just give it a little bit of time.
It really is. We've gone late with this first segment. We're back in 60 seconds. Some interesting Brown stuff. A Buckeye player hitting the transfer portal. Aaron Rodgers still out there and got some Blue Jacket news. We're going to try to squeeze it in as much as we can, so we might do a little rapid fire here in the final segment of the show of the OVE podcast.
We go to war for you. At Schuerger Trial Attorneys, we don't back down. Accident? Call us today at 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com for a free consultation. Know your rights because results matter. That's 877-WAR-FOR-YOU. 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com. warforyou.com.
Denrob Management has over 40 years experience in all aspects of payroll, processing checks, tax filing, W-2 and 1099 preparation. First-time customers get 50% off their first 3 months processing fees. Give them a call now, 614-297-1158 or denrobmanagement.com. The OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. I'm Tor, QFM 96 mornings. He's Sam Grooms, doing it all Ohio. If you're hurt at work or in an accident, let attorney Robert Schuerger go to War for You at warforyou.com. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that little thumbs up. Give us a like. Remember, like, follow, share, even on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. And remember the website. We're doing the autographed Urban Meyer helmet for anyone who signs up, the OVEpodcast.com. So want to see you on the website, and you can catch up on past shows as well and see all the cool stuff that you can win. Sam, let's do rapid fire, and I'll skip some stuff here. Let's start with this. Riddle me this, Batman. if the Browns, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski saved their job by fooling old man dipshit Jimmy Haslam by saying we're a playoff team, we just need a quarterback, right? We just need a quarterback. Give us another year. We can make this happen. While DiPodesto has the clock and he's going, you are getting sleepy, and hypnotizing Jimmy Haslam. How are you going to try to fool me into thinking that you're a playoff team with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback? And it looks like the Browns said, according to Mary Kay Cabot, that they were not interested in Russell Wilson. All right. Well, I'm not saying Russell Wilson is the guy who's going to get you to the promised land, but he's better than Kenny Pickett. How can you sell me they're a playoff team with Kenny Pickett?
Isn't saying or trying to sell the fact that we're a playoff team, we just need a franchise quarterback, like saying I'm a male porn star, I just need another 4 inches?
Yeah.
I mean, does that extra size, does that extra girth just grow on trees, right?
No,
I mean,
100%.
To me, like, I don't even know where to start with this. Aside from no shit, Sherlock, like, of course you need, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you need a franchise quarterback. And that's what every franchise in the NFL is trying to obtain. That is the first and foremost piece. That is the most important position, job in all of professional sport. No kidding. But the mere fact that you can't go out and get one is largely because you flubbed the last one so badly that you had to convince everybody in the room, everybody in the building, we need to completely leverage our future, give this guy 100% guaranteed contract, more than anybody else in the league. And he turned out to be the worst trade and acquisition probably in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, you're right there. And I would say Herschel Walker, but at least Herschel Walker showed up and was present and had a couple runs, right? But before they're right on par. But I would say Deshaun Watson, just from the standpoint of the multiple years of first round picks, and then what you're paying them on top of that too, and what you're paying them prevents you to be a good team in the future. I know they're doing the Kirk Cousins, we're waiting for him to get cut thing, but one thing that if I'm Atlanta, I paid him the $10 million bonus, and why would I cut him now after the draft when I just paid him a $10 million bonus? If I'm paying him a $10 million bonus, guess what, Browns? You're giving me something for him, right? So you're giving me a 2025 third-round pick, a second-round pick, a 2026 second-round pick, whatever it is. And then if you're the Browns, are you going to give him a 2026 second or third, or a this year third for a Kirk Cousins who didn't look that great? I think the Browns fans are in this like daydream that because Stefanski coached Kirk Cousins for 1 year, by the way, he was offensive coordinator in like 4 games at the tail end when the Vikings fired their other idiot offensive coordinator. He was there for a year and 4 games at the end. The Browns fans think that they are getting Kirk Cousins from 2014. You're not getting Kirk Cousins from 2019 or 2021. You're getting Achilles Kirk Cousins, who looked awful last year. Now you think another year off, he'll look good. Well, how did that look for Nick Chubb, right? Nick Chubb didn't look that good coming off of injury. So you're just assuming that a 36, 37-year-old quarterback coming off of injury, because he's a year removed from the injury, on a better offense than what you have, a better offensive, well, comparative speaking, probably the same offensive line, but more weapons in Atlanta, Sam. So you're going to put this guy in an offensive line that's leaky and who has proven. Minnesota went out, drafted a first-round center, drafted a left tackle, made some moves on the interior of the offensive line. They didn't always work, but they went out and got him a decent offensive line because his first year there, he was awful. So if you think Kirk Cousins is going to step in and make you a playoff team and that's your plan, fire Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski right now.
And the shame of it is, too, I think Stefanski's a good coach that maybe got a little bit hoodwinked with Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
But
you were going to do it. What are you going to do if your coach, your GM wants to do it? What do you got to go with?
No, you're right. And I guess where I was going with that is you're not going to fire Andrew Berry hoping that you're going to go out and get a GM that's not going to want to handpick its own coach. So they're kind of a package deal at this point if you're going to axe them. And you just gave them extensions. So you want to talk about making bad money decision after bad money decision. Why they got an extension when they still had, I believe, a year on their contract to go out and earn the next one is beyond me. I think the more and more this plays out, I think the Browns are going to have 3 quarterbacks in the room. They're going to have Kenny Pickett. They're going to have some veteran quarterback that they're going to pick up in free agency, and then they're going to have whoever they take with 2 overall, which my guess is going to be Shedeur Sanders. I still think if available to them, they can do a trade down, trade back, and pick up Jackson Dart and maybe pick up another first-round pick or like 2 seconds or just even another second. If that's what they truly wanted to do, take a guy like Travis Hunter, take a guy like Abdul Carter with that too, or trading down. I don't know, but I'm guessing you're going to have a veteran, you're going to have Kenny Pickett, and you're going to have whoever you draft.
I don't think they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders.
You don't? Okay.
No, I just don't. I don't. I think that would be the easy kid. But if Shedeur Sanders isn't ready, then who are you going to? Are you really going to go in the year and play Kenny Pickett all season long?
Yeah, I'm really sure that's what Myles Garrett came back for, is to see Kenny Pickett starting it.
Well, he came back for the money. We said they'll make that happen if they pay him enough, right? Didn't we say that day one where my guy in Cleveland said they can make this work if they make him the highest paid defensive player in the league? I said that. Go back on the podcast. I said that. My guy said that. Said the only way this gets fixed is that they make him the highest paid guaranteed money defensive player. And guess what they did? They did it. It was never about – Myles Garrett never mentioned before about winning. It was always about being the best. He always talked about being the best. He never talked about like winning. Motivated by money. And they're paying him for money. Myles Garrett, I don't think, is the best leader in the world. Myles Garrett can complain about the locker room. Guess what? You could throw it on Kevin Stefanski. It's not Kevin Stefanski's job to run that locker room. That's a player's point of view. And I know there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, coaches can set the tone, like the Blue Jackets locker room, right? They set the tone of the locker room, but there's players ultimately man that locker room. And if you're worried about the quarterback, Myles, well, then go in and do something about it because you're in there every day. Stefanski's not in that locker room every second of every day, but the players are.
Well, and I think another prime example that kind of hits close to home is we see them twice a year is the Steelers. I think that's one of the big issues I think they have, because they went from having James Harrison, Ben Roethlisberger as the guys that led each side of the ball to I don't even know who offensively you can point to. It's not George Pickens. I know that for a fact.
No.
So I think that's part of the issue that the Steelers are struggling with right now. You're dead on. The coach is going to be there. The coach is going to kind of steer the ship. But at some point or another, the players are the ones that have to hold each other accountable. The players are the ones that have to hold the room accountable and basically to establish the guidelines and saying, this is good, this is not good enough. We have a standard. We're not meeting the standard. We need to get our shit together. And I think that's, like you said, part of the issue. We talked about it, not this most recent season with Ohio State football, but the 22-23 season, right? No, 23-24 season, where it just seemed like there wasn't that guy on the offensive side of the ball. There wasn't that guy in the defensive room that would really light guys up if they weren't living up to the standard. There wasn't that on-field general that they needed. And we saw how well they turned out this past year when they had multiple guys on each side of the ball. It seemed like being able to lead the room.
Or maybe the goal is to draft Shedeur Sanders. That's why they haven't made a move on a Russell Wilson. Because I would think if you felt you're a playoff team a quarterback away, it's either one or two things, Sam. If they believe they are a quarterback away, they would have signed Russell Wilson, right? Because he was available. They could have signed him. And the Giants did. So that would be one. The other option is, okay, well, they're going to sign Shedeur Sanders because they don't know if the kid from Louisville or Jackson Dart's going to be there in the second round. You can't just assume that. Both those guys could be gone.
You're right.
So you're assuming okay, one of those guys are gone. Then you're on pick 4. And then if you draft a quarterback that's not your guy in the second round, well, then you're looking for a quarterback again next year, and you wasted a second-round pick where you desperately need starters, and a second-round pick could start. Or you think you're going to get Kirk Cousins. I don't know the thinking here from the Browns. Maybe they're just going to draft Shedeur Sanders and maybe be done with it. I don't know what they're thinking. They're being very quiet. I know he's going to work out for the team, but if good for them. because maybe someone gets desperate and wants to take a quarterback, but the only team I could see getting desperate is the Steelers because Aaron Rodgers still wants to sign with the Vikings, and I don't think there's going to be someone desperate that wants to move up for 2. Unless you want Abdul Carter.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the draft order now. So Giants obviously just got a team or a quarterback. New England has a quarterback in Drake May. Jacksonville kind of has a quarterback. Vegas just got a quarterback. So, like, all the teams that are behind you in the top 10, by and large, have a guy, with the exception of maybe New Orleans. All those teams seem to have their guy already. So the fact that you would have a team potentially trade up 3 or 4 spots to take Shedeur Sanders seems a little bit unlikely. But weird things have happened, and that's what's so hard about trying to kind of, I guess, assume what's going to happen is there's so many different variables that can affect, so many changes that can be made. Some team that could come out of nowhere to trade up for the number 1 overall pick, and it just any kind of prognostications we have is going to go to absolute shambles. But I think they're more than just a quarterback away. If you were more than just a quarterback away last year, why did you only win 3 games?
Yeah. Or unless his option D is that they believe Deshaun Watson's coming back in December and he's still their guy. Oh. And that when Deshaun Watson's healthy in December, he's going to be their starting quarterback. Don't take that out of the realm of possibility that they feel, all right, Kenny Pickett's here, right? We'll just draft a guy in maybe they draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round, right? That's a developmental guy. And then they just think, all right, Kenny Pickett's going to be our quarterback, and come December, Deshaun Watson's going to be our starter again. Don't take that out of the realm of possibility, because I still think that's a very
I'm saying this right now, that if that is the case, and that's what they are banking on, every person behind that decision needs to be fired and barred from the NFL for life.
Maybe it's Jimmy Haslam.
Then get the hell out of here. That is the worst idea I've ever heard. I always talk about compounding the problem by continuing to make more and more problems to prop up the original problem that you yourself created, or the bad decision you created. At some point or another, the Browns have to cut bait with this guy and realize they made a mistake, instead of trying to somehow revitalize this guy's career that has been DOA for the last 4 years to begin with.
Well, the problem is, Sam, is because they re-upped him and kicked the can down the road, is 26 and 27 is guaranteed. So why they're stuck with him this year. And you cut him, now if you cut him and then keep him next year, you can extend that deal another year to create more salary cap, right? Kick the can down the road. They're stuck with him guaranteed, I believe, 26 and 27. So, I mean, what are you going to do? You just cut him to get out of the room. That's what I would do. I would cut him just to get him the hell out of there, but he's going to be here in 2025.
Well, and that's the thing too. If the guy's guaranteed money, and he's dead, like, he's not going to be a starter for you ever, more than likely never going to see the field ever. Why is he even in the room? You're going to pay the guy regardless. You're taking up a roster spot and creating, by and large, I think the reports last year coming out where the locker room couldn't stand the guy. So why do you even still have him in the facility? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, you would still owe him if you cut him at the end of the year. It's $46 million next year, and I think $53 the following year. And then in 2028, it's a voidable year, but he still has a cap hit of $17 million. So you're still paying him in 2028. Then 2029 is still a $9 million cap, and then nothing in 2030. So you still have a long ways to go with Deshaun Watson, but I'm with you. Just move along and cut him. But I still have a feeling that he is going to be here and get an opportunity to start one more time with the Browns. See, if I'm the Browns, I would load up on offense. I mean, I would. It's kind of like the Bengals should load up every single draft pick of the Bengals, right? Should be maybe somewhere in the 3rd round you take an offensive lineman. But if I'm the Bengals, every single pick I have should be a defensive player. If you get James Pierce of Tennessee in the 1st round, you get a chance to bookend with Hendrickson and James Pierce, and then Hendrickson eventually goes. Then you have Pierce there as your primary pass rusher. I mean, I would line up, if I'm the Bengals, defense every single damn pick. 3rd or 4th round, I pick a guard, right? With the Browns, it should be the exact opposite. Deshaun Watson isn't going to succeed with this offense. Shedeur Sanders isn't going to succeed with this offense. If you draft Shedeur Sanders, he's going to fail because you have nothing there. Okay, draft a second-round running back. All right, that helps. But you better start surrounding them with good, talented players, but they don't have money to do it. So if you're doing from a draft standpoint, Sam, they just go to no matter what they do, don't you load up? I know that if they take Abdul Carter in the second overall pick, now, all right, you'll probably have a really good defense. Your offense is scoring 14 points a game. You better hope your defense can hold him to 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to shore up the offensive line and go get another weapon. Because the way I see it is if you have 2 really good receivers or 2 decent receivers and a tight end, that's enough weapons throwing the ball. But it does if you don't have a good offensive line, whether it's pass pro or the ability to run the ball, which we all understand Stefanski wants to try to do, and then throw off the run, it's not going to matter anyway. So you have to shore up that offensive line first and foremost.
Yeah, who's running the ball? No, I like Telvin Jenkins because they got a guy now where if someone gets hurt, they can kick him out to the outside or put him on the inside, right? So with Wyatt Teller there and Bitonio coming back, I think Jones is going to play one side. Conklin's going to play the other. Jenkins can be that swing guy or play any interior line positions outside of center, and they're not going to drop off. So it looks like the line will get healthy and better, right? I just worry about those wide receivers. I worry about the running game. Who's going to be the running backs on this team? They don't have – if you're like Nick Chubb and you're in the Nick Chubb, he's my sweetheart, my favorite player fan club, Nick Chubb is done. And you're relying on stuff that you're living in a fantasy world. Real quick, Sam. Owners meetings, it looks like the NFL is getting closer to the tush push in the competition committee. To me, it's one of those things where you can't stop it, so the rest of the league wants to get rid of it because no one else can do it. It's much like the torpedo bat.
I mean, my question is this. Is it illegal to push players in the NFL?
No, you could do the tush push.
Okay, then I mean, even if it was the tush push, even if it was like a wide receiver catches the ball, gets hit by 2 DBs, and somebody comes along and pushes him for 3 yards, is that allowed?
I think it is, isn't it?
Okay, then I've got no problem with this.
Yeah, now
just because you can't stop it or just because you can't stop it or replicate it, that's a you problem. Obviously, the Eagles' ability to do this supersedes everybody else in the league. So I kind of have an issue with that. The bat thing isn't interesting to me. We can maybe talk about on the second half or in the next segment. But
no next segment. This is the final segment.
Oh, no more segments. All right.
No. Well, it's off season, Sam. We just do 2.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, man. I think just stop it. Guess what? Don't let them get to 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
You can prevent this before you get to that position.
What do you think of the torpedo bats? Because I don't think there's anything baseball can do about it. I think they will change the ruling next year, but I don't think they can change the ruling in the season. And I'm surprised Steroid Boy hasn't used it yet. Me, caveman. Me, hit home runs.
I'm telling you, everyone will probably start trying to replicate these bats.
Absolutely.
They're interesting to me, and I understand the concept behind it as anybody that has swung a wood bat. I do think the MLB can come in and probably do away with these without having any kind of more study or more data to support it. I also think that maybe we're attributing the fact that the Yankees are offensively potent to these bats. When you have an absolute murderer's row from 1 through 9 offensively, and they're the damn Yankees. So
yeah,
maybe it's the bats, but it's probably more so that you've got, caveman Judge up there, batting 6'9", 280 of solid muscle, hitting moonshots. Because guess what? He was doing it before the torpedo bat too.
Well, he's not using one now. He's not using it. He's one of the only guys not using it.
I think I need to go back because they were talking about what the restrictions are. I think the longest bat you're able to use is 42 inches. And if you know anything about wood bats, Major League Baseball has pretty much primarily gone away from ash bats. I believe they are all maple and birch now. Denser wood, harder to break. Maple in particular, you don't have to hit with the grains. Getting a little granular here on wood baseball bats. But every bat has a different shape. There are a bunch of different models. Some bats have bigger barrels that are kind of end-loaded, so to speak, with thinner handles. Some bats have more balance. Some are just thin and light all around. Different style of bats are made for different style of hitters. Maybe they found something, and it's just the newest thing. I remember back when Bonds was going crazy, he was one of the first guys to use a maple bat, and everyone was losing their mind over that. So just give it some time. I think. Well, and I also do think that a lot of the hullabaloo about these bats is because it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
You know, if this was the Milwaukee Brewers or the freaking, I don't know, what's another Miami Marlins using these bats, nobody would be losing their minds.
No, you're absolutely
And
right.
coming from a guy that absolutely loathes the New York Yankees.
I do too. I don't like. They're everything that's wrong with the world, just in general. Everything.
Yeah, I am curious. So, like, I do want to see kind of what the numbers support. Like, you're gonna need weeks or months of data. You're gonna probably need, hot weather, cold weather. You're gonna need to see the other teams use them, and then just kind of collect the data to see if it does create some form of advantage. But the way I see it too is kind of like the bonds and the steroid issue. You still have to put back the ball. So,
yeah.
I mean, the key thing about and what they focus on with a lot of the batters, and not only in the majors anymore, down through college, high school, and so on, is they always want to talk about what's your barrel percentage, launch angle, and how fast the ball is coming off the bat. If you can get barrel to ball more often than the other hitter, you're probably going to have a better average and be more productive.
Yeah.
And you still got to do that regardless of what the bat looks like.
Absolutely. 100%. Blue Jackets got to go 7-3 the next 10 to make the playoffs, Sam?
I guess it depends. Like, if somebody, the beauty of all of this is the fact that some of the opposition or teams that are kind of competing with them have all stunk in the past 3 weeks as well. I think you've got 2 more games with Ottawa. What do you play? You play tomorrow. You play the Predators, who are eliminated. You play the Avalanche on Thursday, which I'm not too happy about. But you're playing some decent teams. But you've got to string 3-4 in a row together at some point. You can't keep going on off.
No, and they've been bad the last 10, so they need to get it going. One quick note on Provolov, why he's not signed. Provolov wants 8 years, and that's 8 years, and that's why he is not signed. I think the money might not be there, but he's looking for 8 years, and why not? Because that's what guys are looking for in the league now. They're looking for the 8 years. If you're a semi-decent player, you want the 8 years. So that's the difference between the Blue Jackets, and they still want to get something done. But Provolov wants 8 years. Take it to the bank. That's what I've been told. He wants 8 years. I trust my source on this one. He's 26 years old? He might get it.
That's what I was going to look up. I thought he was like 26, 27, which honestly, he's 28. So
he's 36 years old. I pass.
Yeah, I guess it would matter. Do you know what the AAV was?
No, I do not.
8 years is a lot.
It is, and I wouldn't do it.
If you could structure it like Olivier's contract, where you're paying him more money up front and less on the back end, okay, you got the cap space, and defense is obviously a need on this team. You've got a lot of the youth that you have coming up are all offensive guys and forwards. I don't mind that, but 8 years is a long time. You get a guy in his mid to upper 30s in the NHL. That's when you really start to see the drop off.
Oh, 100%. When guys are like 34, 35, then you see it. So you don't want to, especially with Severson, right? You don't want to see 2 guys on there, because the Severson deal is hurting this team right now, and it's going to hurt this team in the long run. And so I think Provolov's better player. I like his game a lot. I would want to keep him. It just depends. Am I paying him $6 million for 8 years? But I got a feeling he's going to want 7, and that's where I say no.
Yeah, that's a big. You're either going to get the money or you're going to get the term at this point. You got to figure out which is more important to you.
Yeah. And if he wants to, and I don't think he's going to get it anywhere else, where maybe the Blue Jackets feel like, all right, you try to get your best deal possible and then come back with us.
Yeah, I like you said, maybe somebody will take a run at him, or it'll be a situation where he goes to a state like Florida or Dallas, like we saw with Rantanen. He's going to net more money because he's not having to pay an income tax in the state. So on paper, it's going to look like they paid him less, even though he's netting either the same or more money. But yeah, 8 years at $7 million a year is a lot of money for a 28-year-old defenseman who does, kind of pop up there on the score sheet occasionally, but is far more defensive minded than a guy like Zach Werenski, who's far more offensive minded.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff, Sam. We're back Friday together. Wednesday is as we approach WrestleMania, Wednesday is another wrestling podcast. So 3 days this week. See everybody. We will be back. And maybe if I have nothing going on, I'll pop on solo. You never know. Let them live. All right. We went long today. All right. See everybody. Hey, it's Torg for Custom Air. You know, when it comes to my HVAC system, I don't trust just anyone. I trust Custom Air. These guys are fast, reliable, and they know their stuff. Fall's just around the corner, and now's the perfect time to make sure your HVAC equipment is running at its best. Don't wait until it's too late. Get ahead of the game. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my home, and neither should you. Visit them on the web at customairco.com and keep your home comfortable all season long. Custom solutions, custom comfort, Custom Air. Thinking of buying or selling a home? Give Lauren Torgerson a call with NextHome Experience. Lauren has been servicing the Columbus metropolitan area for 10 years. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, considering building, want to upsize or downsize, Lauren can help you with all your real estate needs. Get a free market analysis for your area and get started working on making tomorrow's dreams happen today. Call or text Lauren at 614-296-3952, 614-296-3952, or email at torgersonlauren@gmail.com.